This weekend there was the opening of The Visit at Frank Theater, a play by the playwright Frederick Dormat, and I went there to meet the founder and artistic director Wendy Knox, and I had a conversation about this intriguing play that really is very timely, especially what was going on in Washington with the Kavanaugh's hearing. So we are here at Minnesota Transportation Museum, and it's an amazing building. I've never been in this building. Well, thanks so much for giving me that chance. Frank Theater is just an idea. It doesn't have a physical place.
Right.
Take me through that.
Well, we started off the theater 30 years ago with the idea that we wanted to do work that we got tired with the complacency that we saw in a lot of theater that was being done. That you go to the theater, you sit there for 2 hours, you watch it, and you walk out, and the first thing you say is, "Where should we go eat?" And it feels to me if you spend 2 hours of your life doing something, you should have something more important after. And if you're watching something on the stage, we should have something more compelling. So our mission is that we do work that deals with some sort of social, political, or cultural issue, which any theater could say. And in my mind, the responsibility of we'll have 80 people here sitting here watching the show this afternoon. We're saying something to them, and we need to be responsible for what we're saying. And for me, it's just because theater is interesting as a forum for exploration and asking questions and things like that. So that's the first prong that's one of the prongs of our mission. The other prong is to present challenges to actors and audiences. So if an audience walks out and if they say, "What the hell was that about?" That's better than asking, "Where should we go eat?" Always some rough edges to a Frank production. It might be the script is new. It might be a venue like this. It might be casting someone in a role that you might not initially think they would be right for. So there's always some kind of rough edges, but that's, for me, that's because of our commitment to challenging and growing and asking questions. So it was almost solid doing in these rough spaces, which is 10 times more work than going into a theater. But it's also a lot of fun. And it's so exciting for both the artists and for the audience. A couple of times we've done shows in buildings that have been vacant in a neighborhood for a number of years. Like the Sears building on Lake Street was empty for 8 years, and the media kept referring to it as a blighted piece of property. And it's in the middle of a low-income neighborhood, and that's people live there, and you constantly see yourself being reflected as living in a blighted neighborhood. And so we came in there and we did a play, and it was crazy that we just did it. I don't know where the idea came from. We're like, "Hey, let's do a play at the Sears building," and it worked out. They gave us the keys to the building. And so when we put up big posters all around, there was cyclone fencing all around the building, and little kids would be around, and they'd see these, "Hey, you guys making a movie?" And we're like, "No, we're doing a play." "What's a play?" "Come on up." So we'd invite them in, they come in, see, and they're like, "Can I be in the play?" And they said, "Well, you can't be in the play, but you want to hand out programs?" And they're like, Yeah, get on the program. Bike home, ask your mom if you can tell you'll be home by 8:15. And so they go home and they come back, they were so excited. And people who had worked at Sears, because that was a huge store, and so many people in South Minneapolis, they bought their first air conditioner there, they bought their...
I made my first shoplifting from them.
Oh, you did? There you go, that's
I have
good.
to confess that.
That's good, that's really good.
I love to see
that's funny. Well, when you have these buildings that have had a life and have contributed to the community they're in, and then they're vacant, when we come in and give it a new, even if it's just a temporary use, we bring an energy to it, and the people around it become curious, and so there's a great, this place has been here for a while, but a lot of people don't know. I didn't know about it. I was looking for a place, and I sent out an email to a bunch of my board members and some development people, and someone just said, I took my kids over to the Minnesota Transportation Museum, and they have a lot of space, I don't know. And so we came to look at it. It's just such a cool place. So, and they've been great to work with. They've been very supportive, and some of the scenes are set at a train station, so sitting here and watching it with a locomotive right behind it is really great. And during the performance, you'll hear the real trains outside. You'll hear this low rumbling, which just kind of...
The playwright, Frederick
Durhamad, yeah.
Durhamad. This is He has a very serious message behind the comedy he have, and I'm really intrigued by his view of it. But you really have to be careful about what's behind all of this. So talk a little bit about him.
Well, he's interesting too because he says his plays are, he refers to them, there's a word in German that it means encryption, which is now you hear it a lot in terms of cybersecurity and stuff like that. But I mean, it means that sort of buried in he's presenting us a riddle or a question that needs to be answered. He's not giving us answers, but he's sort of putting it, so it gives you something to think about. And last night, this woman was leaving the theater and she said, intermission, I told you I really enjoyed the play, and now I have to say I'm not so sure that I enjoyed it, but it's given me a lot to think about.
A few years ago, Frank Theater had the Arsonist, which is really a funny play, and talking about our willingness to bury our heads in the sand and not getting involved in political and social activities. And right after that, we had Trump. Now we have the visit, which it is set up in a small town that's deep economic depression, and those people waiting for a young lady that was done wrong 37 years ago, and she's coming back to town for revenge or to buy justice and to prove that money can buy everything. So Frank Theater has a way of even foreseeing what's going to happen in the future. This is amazing.
Initially, when we started wanting to do this play 3 years ago, I was intrigued by the difference between what is justice and what is revenge, as portrayed in this thing. But now with all the events that have happened this week, with the whole Me Too, with the whole thing about a woman from her high school saying this happened and she's trying to set it right, that's the same situation here in the play where this woman was 17 and she was shunned, and then that whole question about, well, he says justice can't be bought. So there's all these lines in the play that you go, I think I heard that on the news last night, So it's amazing how that has happened. But it's just great. Again, it's like about the power of what Duramat's work is. And the fact that a lot of these questions that have to do with capitalism, which have to do with power, which have to do with, that they don't go away. They're still with us. So,
well, is there a hero in this play?
There's really not. I mean, or it's very interesting. I read a review. We had a first review come out, and it was talking about how the male, the guy who's essentially who's the victim? The villain. Yeah. She comes off kind of as the villain, and this review was talking about how sympathetically he's portrayed, which is kind of interesting again, because it puts it in a gray area, which another Frank actor, Maria Asp, who's worked with us a lot, she said, what I love about Frank is that Frank always does plays that are in the gray. It's not black or white, it's like in the gray, and you have to figure it out,
Welcome to life.
Yeah, exactly. But
we're talking about the man who was single-handedly responsible for ejecting her or kicking her out of the village.
Yeah.
She was a prostitute or something.
Well, she became because nobody would hire her because she was a 17-year-old pregnant,
But at the end of the play, the only one who was honest with his demons was this guy. And that's why they think he was the only one.
Right.
He's the hero because
right.
He accepted his
he did accept. Yeah, he said, I am responsible, and so he did accept
Nobody else did.
Yeah.
Not the city, not
the whole
mayor.
town is, and that's the thing about how the whole, because she comes back not just to get him, but the whole town, because everybody was complicit. So
this was written in the 50s.
56, yeah. So it's
still
post-World War II, and it still has this, and again, has even more resonance now because of what's been going on,
Wendy Knox, the director of Frank Theater, and also the founder.
Yes.
And we're glad to always, every year we'll come here and we'll meet you and talk about
Thank you, Ahmed.
a wonderful
Thanks so much.
play that brings people. And I love it when you say people need to think.
Yeah.
And I think that's in your mission.
Yeah, it is.
We're going to make you bleed a little bit.
Yes. Just a little bit. Or said we won't make you bleed, we'll just bruise you a little bit or something. So.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thanks so much. I'm sorry.
I'm going to enjoy it. This is the story of an artist who chose to leave his home, his fame, and come to America to start a new life, a new journey. This is the story of Mohamed Yabdri, an Algerian actor. He was a star on television and theater, not just in Algeria, but all over the Arab world. He decided, time to move on, time for a change. I went to meet him at Frank Theater, where he plays a small part in Frederick Dormat's play The Visit, and I asked him about the challenges that he was facing back home in Algeria.
In Algeria, I'm not. It's not like I'm not agree what's happening in my country, but it's about there are a lot of stuff going on there in the Ministry of Culture. In Algeria, we have a Minister of Culture, which is good because that means that the government invests in money in the culture. But in the same time, no one from like the community is present. We are absent. I think it's time. We're in 2011, and I'm sick to hear all my life, all my career there about like being this artist who has this small voice. Even our voices are like listened by the audience and by people there, our people. But I think art need to have more freedom, more existence, and as everywhere in the world, at least.
Isn't it tied to the whole idea of freedom and political climate,
Yeah.
not just in Algeria and all Arab world?
Yeah, but especially Algeria, we were like the previous ministers. We can understand because they are not artists. That's okay. They can't have the same perspective as us. But in the same time, the new minister, this is his third year. He's a poet. I played one of his scripts, so and he came and he's when you read that script, is very engaged politically. So, but that was in 2007, so it's 11 years ago. And when you see him as like in a politic situation, it's contradictional. So we were like, oh, he's a poet, and he is one of us. He's a playwright. So the quality will be like higher, and we will
listen
have
to you at least.
exactly, and we will have. It's another step for artists in Algeria, but nothing changed, and actually the budget went low because of economic crisis and stuff. We can understand that. We artists are a symbol for sacrifice. We are the less paid in the world.
And if you were to say you're Minister of Culture, I'm not saying he's watching my show.
Oh, maybe he will. Yeah, he will be curious to see. I think, and maybe I will say just, we like you as a poet. Thank you so much. And if you are tired, maybe, or you can't do anything, just go back home and do art. Maybe it's much better. We need other people to serve the culture in our country now.
I think you're right. I think in Arab world, not just in Algeria, we need more poets and ministers.
Yeah.
I know you've been you give Algeria plenty of chances. You've been working there for a long time. Also, you've been in the whole Arab world, and now you are back here, America, and you're starting the road from the beginning here. You've taken a lot of different roles, different theater, and you've been engaged in teaching and training and on all of that. And so tell us about the play today. What's your role in it? And
This is the first time that I am playing a script from Frederick Durmat, and it's good to discover new playwrights. That's a good opportunity to be here in this country and go in another like experiences. And you know, in any artistic life, people keep discovering every day. My role, it's I have like small parts, but it doesn't exist like small
Yeah,
part.
there's no
Each
such
part,
thing as a small part.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's always a presence, and without even a prop has a role in any artistic process. This is very important. So the character, his name Kobe, he's a unique, and that was a good opportunity to know more about the pain of these people that exist in the world, that they are sequestered, and it's very important. And yeah, so he's like, there is like a funny side, but in the same time painful, and because these people were like were tortured. So it's very important to keep that, but there are timings, and behind any comedy there is a tragedy.
Yeah. So how do you prepare for this role?
Oh, as any character has, even like the like big roles, you need to do like at least any actors has, every actor has his point of view, and with the director, of course, and what's the global vision. So it's like you are a sculptor. You started to sculpt this clay or this rock, and give it like a life, and helped with what the script saying, what the director, sorry, conducting you, and in the same time you put like suppositions, which is like how this character was living, and what's his or her future. So you feel what is not written, and you feel what, and that's what help you to.
Air Force, huh? The flyer, name and rank, soldier? Yeah, a cowie.
You know, we understand the role of the director and how he shapes your character. How about the audience? How do they affect your play? You know, if you're doing it like 10 times or 20 times, does it change from the second, third time?
Yeah. It's like, you know, as you maintain, or you say, or you try to discuss, sorry, the same topic with different people, singular people, I mean person, and each person has an opinion. So each night there is a new energy with a group of people, new people. So and there are different opinions, different perspectives. So that's what feed the energy on stage, in my opinion. I think I have an accent, and that's a part of me, and it's very important to keep it and to clarify your ideas and your existence in the community, because at the end, the rest of the cast, we share the thing, what we are artists, and that vibes that I think that exists only in art, where people are like the same, but in the same time we are from different background, and be a part and tell a story. It's very important, as beyond that stereotype of being like play terrorist number one. I can do it, even like in my satire shows. I play terrorists and other characters. At the end of the day, they are characters, but I don't want to feed more this
Feed the
idea.
beast.
Feed the beast.
Mohamed Yabdri, his art, his story, his journey.